almost spilled my drink on my paper. Well, hey guys, give it a big hand again for Sean and Nick, guys. Great job. So in comedy, usually a headliner, I guess, throughout the show is, I guess, supposed to be your best comedian of the night. Probably tonight not true because Nick just killed it, and Sean killed it earlier with his Keanu Reeves and Jack Black, or what was it? Jack Sparrow. Sorry, I can't even get his own joke right. But anyways, hey guys, do you guys get kids that are at home? Well, I know you got your kids here, but
Grandbabies.
oh, your grandbabies! Congratulations. So guys, you have kids that are at home? Anyone have kids at home?
That we do. Yeah.
That one too?
All three sisters.
My grandmother.
Oh Lord, that's awesome.
I'm the weird one, okay?
You're the weird one? Me too. Trust me, I know. Well, hey, you guys that have kids at home, you're free tonight. You're welcome. And then anybody have a birthday this weekend or this past month? 2 weeks ago? Well, happy birthday. Awesome. Well, it brings me to my story because I brought that up because my last birthday, I was 37. Well, when I woke up, I didn't realize how old I was. So I woke up like any other day, all jolly. No, I was pretty upset. But I had to calculate my birthday. I was like, no, am I 37, 38? I really don't know. So I had to calculate. I was like 22 minus the 84, carry the 9er, square root the 3. I'm 37. Okay. So I called my mom. And I was like, hey, Mom. She's like, oh, hey, sweetie, how are you? Happy birthday. I was like, oh, yeah, enough of that. How old am I? And I'm like, oh, I'm serious. How old am I? She's like, well, as far as I know, you're 37. I was like, as far as you know, like, am I somebody else? She's like, oh, Lord, help us. You are 37. I mean, she's been telling me, Lord, help us since I was a kid. But brings me to being older. I had a moment with my daughter recently. We were driving somewhere. And I'm pretty sure I've heard this happen to people before. That I literally found myself turning down the radio to see better. And it was a real life thing. I was like, are you serious? This is true? Like, this is happening to me? But it is. It did. And like I said, I had my kids. And I'm in a divorce relationship. Don't worry, I'm happy about it. I get my kids about every other weekend. And I'm starting to invest in getting my kids, or getting myself, shoulder pads. Because the way my kids love me, it hurts physically. Like my older daughter, she would come up. She's like, oh, like give me a hug, and then psych, and headbutts me. And all of a sudden she'll give me like a shoulder roll. I'm like, God, what is wrong with you? And then my little one, she's this high. So she goes around spanking us, all whatnot. So if I'm facing the wrong way, man down, we're down. And then kids don't have the ability to actually wake up and adult properly. Well, at least in my experience. For me, my little one comes up. One, it's Darth Vader. Daddy, wake up. And I'm like, oh, what the get out of here, good Lord. Or two, it's like WWE, get ready to rumble. And she just jumps on me, bam. And then my oldest, she's 15. She's not a little kid. She will jump on me too, just to get involved with it. So my daughter is jumping on me, my other one's jumping on me. I'm like, what is going on? All of a sudden, a foot to the face, somebody gets hurt, because it was me to my other daughter. You laughed, I like that. But let me get back to getting older. So, getting older, I feel like I've learned to give advice, but I still don't give great advice. Like I had a buddy of mine, he goes, hey, I'm thinking about going to acting. I really want to see what I can do, maybe going to Hollywood. And I was like, okay, well, cool. I mean, I only did acting in theater. Well, he's like, well, I'm still thinking about doing that. I was like, well, I think you have a perfect face for radio. And he was like, man, that sucks, bro. He's like, that hurt. I was like, your breath hurts right now. But anyways, we all have that friend. And then my sister, she called me one day. It's a true story. She called me. It was in the evening. She's like, hey, Matt, your nephew, which is her son. She goes, hey, your nephew showed himself at school. I was like, well, I show myself every day at work. What are you talking about? He's like, no, he showed his penis and was trying to do the helicopter with it. I was like, all right. But here's the question. So she goes, at what age do boys stop doing that? So I go, well, I'm 37. I'll have to get back to you because it's still going on. And, you know, like I said, it's most of the time, if you ask for advice, you know, you and I would probably end up drunk at a bar or us doing comedy at Monaville Fire Station. And, you know, life isn't fair. It really is not. You know, that's why they make condoms in all different sizes. If you use them, Sean. We don't you be creative. Hey, cheers, guys. Cheers to yourself. I got you. All right. So, you guys are here tonight. Again, thank you very much for coming. I am a fireman here, as well as a couple of guys here. So, I don't know if you ever heard a rumor. This is more of a fireman joke. If you ever heard of a fireman going, we go kind of crazy, we're kind of wild, we break a lot of stuff, or we lose something. That's our story. It's like, how'd you break it? I don't know. Where is it? I don't know either. So what they say about this is that you can stick a fireman in a padded room with 2 bowling balls, he'll break one and lose the other. But that's just what they say about us. And my daughter was big when I was young, or when she was younger at the fire station. We go all the time. And she would always tell me, hey, I'm your favorite daughter. You get to bring me to the station all the time. I was like, oh, honey, of course you are. You're my only one. And then I had a second one. And she's like, you just like her all the time. I was like, you have your favorite child. And I was like, that's ridiculous. What makes you think I like any of you? Well, and I have one for you guys. My daughter and I collaborated on this joke. So we were driving somewhere again, and she was in the front seat, and we were just she had started like convulsions. I thought she was having like some kind of seizure because she was in the seat just like, and I'm like, I couldn't do it right, but I was like, what is going on? I said, hey, what's wrong with you? Savannah, what's wrong with you? She had no response. No response. She's still just shaking around. And then I was like, hey, Savannah, what is wrong? And she goes, I forgot she had her AirPods in or whatever they call them. So she took it out. She's like, what, Dad? I'm doing my TikTok. Like, oh, Lord. So she was doing her TikTok dances. So my actual full name is Matthew Kyle Hoffman. I know that name and the way I talk does not fit this description because I live Mexican, my name German, Irish, whatever it is. So, and my middle name is Kyle. And most Hispanics, like, get their name from like their grandfather, uncle, a dada, somebody. No, my middle name was off of Kyle Field, Texas A&M football field. Yeah, Gigamaggies, all right. So, and like I said, my parents are German, Irish, Czech, mixer. They're white. I mean, my dad's back there. Yeah. And my mom looks like her back over there. So. She's an Aguilar, and you're white. Like, that's so awesome. You're opposite of me. Hey, amen. I got you. Well, then you'll fit in all these stories. Right? This is Weird Night. We're not doing comedy anymore. Let's get to it.
I remember that guy said last one, he said he talked to a friend and how weird they are. I talked to a leader.
Mirror, mirror on the wall, who's the fairest of them all? You are, Aguilar. I like that. So, how I figured when I got to being adopted and being brown and my family's white, I was like, okay, Mom, I heard the story about her wanting to adopt me. So I was like, okay, well, the bottom line is, Mom and Dad, it was a Friday night. They didn't know what to do. So Mom was like, you know what? I want Mexican to go. And here we go. So, and when that happened, like I said, I was adopted when I was born. And my mom came up to the hospital, my dad came up to the hospital, and my mom was so excited. She was like, oh my God, there's my brown little beaner baby. And then she went to mom mode. She's like, I got wash to do, cooking, cleaning. Oh my Lord. Honey, grab the burrito, let's go. And don't forget the chips and salsa, and don't tip the nurse. She was mean. And he's like, you know this is a hospital, right? You just can't order Chipotle and take it to go, right? So, in all my life though, it was confusing of actually me being Hispanic and my parents being white, and everyone assumed I could speak Spanish, or why I wore Acosta all the time, or polos and Bernstein Bear shoes, or whatever. That's white people stuff, so I don't know, maybe I don't know.
That's all I said.
So, and then, thank you.
Like, yep.
The late response. So with my mom, we actually flew a lot when I was a baby, a toddler. I couldn't speak for myself. And I really was a dark baby. And they were white as, you get the story. So we flew a lot. And my mom told me that she always had to carry my birth certificate. I was like, what do you mean my birth certificate? So I was like, okay, so you have to literally carry my birth certificate just to prove to you know some crazy white people going around stealing Mexican babies. And she was like, yeah, that was just part of you. I was like, oh, great. So I had my birth certificate attached to my head like some UPS package. What can brown do for you? It made her, Mom. So as we get older, I'm more of a toddler. I can kind of speak. I still have no Spanish whatsoever. My parents didn't speak it. But when they finally brought me out into the world of their brown little baby, I would have Hispanics actually come up to me. Like literally come up to me and was like, I guess speak to me in Spanish. I had no idea what they're saying. I would assume it was like, hey, speak Spanish if you're being kidnapped. And of course me, I'm like, I don't know Spanish. And my mom would always make fun of me because that was true. When I was a kid, people would come talk to me and I had to respond, I don't speak Spanish, but I said spinach. So so the looks of already being weird already in public, to me saying Spanish, they're like, there is something really wrong with this kid. He's with the white family and he doesn't know spinach. So, yeah, it was really, I mean, and that was pretty much like 5 to 10. Well, but then we go into middle school, we go into high school, and we get to know, or people get to know me. And they're like, hey, Matt, like, you really are like your freaking coconut. You're like the brown Twinkie. You're confused. I was like, yeah, I know I'm confused, but the brown Twinkie, coconut? They're like, yeah, because you're brown and hairy on the outside, and you're white in the middle, on the inside. I was like, okay, well, I get that part then. And I was like, what about the brown Twinkie? It's like, well, you're kind of mushy and brown, and you're just so white on the inside. I was like, oh, I'm always white for something. I don't know. Well, and then I played football, so we had to pass. Pass school. Well, the only report card I ever failed in school, y'all want to guess that? Spanish 1. I think it was like my second semester. I failed Spanish 1. And everybody was like, Matt, how do you fail Spanish 1? These are the kids that really didn't know my family yet. And I was like, well, that's just not what I am. I was like, look at my portrait. Like, we had a card made of us. We were so conceited. And it was, they were like, oh my God, you really are white. I was like, right? Once you go white, you're always right. Once you go brown, you always be down. I know, I had the best of both worlds. Privilege. So also another story that we would have is people would come over, new to the neighborhood. They didn't really know our family or the situation. So they'd come over. They would talk to my mom, dad be outside doing something, and they would talk, chit chat, and they would look around. They would like see our family portraits. You know, we had pictures of our aunts, uncles, cousins, and second cousins, whoever they're dating at the time. And then right in the middle, we had all of us together, and there was me right in the middle. And they stopped my mom talking. They're like, hey, why is the pool boy in this picture? And I was like, I was in the room. I was right there. Like, I'm right here. I'm not just taking a break. And then my dad comes in from the backyard, not knowing what was just said, not knowing the situation. And he says, hey, Matt, it's time to clean the pool. and I, of course, I said to this neighbor, I was like, well, I guess lunch break is over, time to go back. And, well, I really wanted to know Spanish. I really wanted to learn it. So I went to school. I went to college. And before you go, you can actually meet with the professors and talk to them. So I met with the professor, and I said, "Hey man, I'm Mexican. My family's white." I was like, "You know what? Tell you what, I'm white. I just look Mexican." He's like, "Oh, it's okay." I can't even do an accent right. But he said something like, "No, it's okay, man. Hey, you know what? You're Mexican. You're gonna do it. You can do it." I was like, "No, Mexican, not. It's not gonna happen." He's like, "No, we're gonna sign you up for Spanish for heritage speakers." I was like, "Spanish for heritage speakers? Do you know what that is?" I was like, "No, I am not taking it. That's the no. It's a big no." So I went to class for Spanish for heritage speakers, and we walk in. The teacher wasn't in there yet. They were all talking in Spanish, and then the teacher comes in. He talks Spanish, said hola or something. Then he says something about a book. I was like, "That's Libra." So they started opening their book. I opened my book. I was like, "We can read this." They turned their page. I turned my page. I have no idea what page I'm on, but we're doing this. And then they get further in the class. Then they start standing up, sitting down, standing up, sitting down. I was like, "What the heck is going on?" I thought we were in church for a second. Them Catholics. I'm Catholic. It's okay. Sorry, Nick. So anyways, but they went on. They were speaking more words, and I was like, I'm lost. I have no idea what's going on. I'm sweating like I am right now. Really confused, really embarrassed. Kind of like the first time I was with a girl. Yeah, she left too. Damn. I'm laughing at my own stuff, man. Sorry. All right, so after knowing the situation, my mom had me. Dad had me. Well, Mom was able to have more kids later. Well, so she home cooked her kids. I was like, "Okay, you got stuck with them. Cool." So we always prayed, "I hope they come out okay." And I'm like, "I'm right here. That's all you need, Mom. That's all we need." Well, she had my brother and sister, and she was so happy that they were okay. But when my sister came along, it was all hell. But we would go places, and I would take my brother and sister when we got older, after they got older. And they would always think that they're being kidnapped by me. I was like, this story is in circle. Because they thought my parents kidnapped me. Now they're thinking I'm kidnapping my brother and sister. And my brother was white. Really white. It's kind of like Nick over there. And we had one of the stories is when we played football, I played football, he was like my #1 fan. Biggest fan there was, went to every game. And after the game, you could always go to see your family. So I had my brother come up with some of my players with me. And my buddy was like, they didn't know my brother. He's like, "Who is this kid? Like some Make-A-Wish Foundation kid?" I was like, "Yeah." So I went along with it. I was like, "Hey man, you're going to make it, buddy. You're going to make it." But no, I talk about my brother and sister all the time. My brother is the golden child. My sister is still a pain in my mom's ass. Sorry, kids, my bad. One more story before I go on this one. I had a show the other day. It got canceled. So my friends that were coming up there, they're like, "Hey, you know what? Just come eat with us. You're already down here. You already made the drive. Let's go eat." I was like, okay, cool. So they beat me to the restaurant. I was like, "Okay, maybe they get me a drink, whatever." So I get in there. I finally sit down. The waiter comes and talks to me. It's a Mexican restaurant. And then he speaks Spanish. I was like, "Okay, cool. I get this all the time. They expect me to know Spanish." So I said, "Tea, tomar." He's like, "I want some tea." And he was like, he spoke in Spanish. I was like, "Okay." Then he comes back. I'm speaking English to him when he comes back because he wants my food order. And I say to him in English, and he keeps talking to me in Spanish every time. So I try to order my food in Spanish. Do y'all want to hear me say that?
Yeah.
So I wanted fajita tacos carbone mixed with queso in the tacos already. Well, when I ordered it, I said, "Yo quiero fajita taco." Why am I talking with an accent? I was like, "Yo quiero fajita tacos." Because if you say fajitas in an accent, it's right. But anyways, I said, "Hey, yo quiero fajitas, carbone, con chicken, con beef, and I want queso, arriba, todo arriba," and that's it. And And my white friends knew Spanish, so they were cracking up. I'm like, what's going on? The waiter had a smirk. I'm like, what? Well, he left, and I told my friend, I was like, look, man, whatever comes out, I just don't want enchiladas. So our food comes out, and then I get queso enchiladas. And I was like, bro, I didn't want. Well, I opened it up. It's literally fajita tacos al carbon with queso all over them. Because apparently I said queso all over it, and that was that story. But